Let me make sure I'm recording. There we go. Okay, so there's two different tabs up here at the top. Notice this one right here, I've saved it as dilations and transformations. That is just the regular Desmos. What you can use has all of the features. This over here, this is what you would see if a kid is on the STAR, the Texas STAR, which is really what, unless you're doing something that's instructional, the Texas STAR is really what you want to see kids practicing on. And they can access that one of two ways. If you want it to be in kiosk mode, that's where the students on the Chromebook, they would just go to the bottom left. They do not have to log on. They would just go to apps, click Desmos test mode. But this is where right above that at the top in those directions I sent, they would have to choose Texas STAR and then log on. So they can either do it that way, and that puts it in kiosk mode. However, I had a request. There's a lot of teachers that they want to still be doing internet activities, or they want students on the online homework, different things like that, especially Algebra 1. So they can also get to it if they are logged on. They can hit the little circle in the bottom left, and I believe tomorrow is when technology said it would be there. They'll be able to, when they hit the little circle at the bottom, it'll show up Desmos test mode, and that will be the same thing. However, that doesn't put it in kiosk mode. For DCPs and STAR, you want to make sure that they're not logging on, they're just going to the app. But if you have anything that you still want them to be able to access the internet, then you would have them log on and then they could go to it that way. So hope that's not confusing. If you have any questions about that, I'll be happy to answer them to you. But there's two things I wanted to show you. One, the whole deal that we talk about is dilations and transformations. But the first thing I wanted to show you is kind of a review of what we've already talked about, is ordering rational numbers. And so I know we talk about ordering rational numbers. How do we do this? But there's a really easy way that Desmos can help students visually see it. Because what do we do for ordering rational numbers? We put them on a number line. So for example, if I wanted to order the points 24 and a half, and then 24.76 and 24.3. Well, that doesn't do anything, right? I've got this little circle over here. However, how do we put things on a number line? We make them points. So if instead of doing that, if you will make each one of these as a point, comma 0, you can change the color of it here. And you can also make a label. Like if I wanted to say this is John, John finished here. Same thing, you come down, you do the next one, 24.76, comma 0. Now look, this one is blue, and I'm gonna name this one Carrie. And then the last one, I can put in 24.3, comma 0, and I'm gonna make this one Kelly. Now look, if I come over here, the nice thing about Desmos is it's very easy to scroll in and out. And I know that 24s are going to be over here. So ta-da, look right here. Here's all of my points, and they're labeled on a number line. So your students would be able to see, oh, Kelly has the shortest amount of time. Carrie has the longest amount of time. So it's just a super easy way that students can visually see ordering of rational numbers. Same thing, you can put on, let's say that this was really 24 and 1/3. Nope, not 241. 24 and 1/3. Let me rewrite this. 24, and you could come down here and you could make the fraction bar with them. 24 and 1/3. It's right here. They're all gone. Okay, so that's the deal. You can put it in any way that you want to. You can put in 24, and here you go. And this is where I'm telling you, I still struggle with this. I don't think you have to be perfect in it. I don't want the 24 here. So then I'm going to put the 24 and 1/3. Okay. So look, same thing. It's right here. And if you hover over it, it'll tell you what they are right there. Okay. So just a side note, not the translations and dilations that we're getting into, just something as you're going back and reviewing that for your students to be able to do. Okay, so to now for what you actually came from. So there's two different deals. I'm going to show you on just the regular Desmos what you could do, because there are way more instructional tools on regular Desmos, and then I'm going to show you what students would be able to access during the STAR testing mode. Okay, so for regular dilations, really the thing that's going to be easiest for students to do and what they have to have is they have to have points. That's the only way that they're going to be able to do it. So what I would suggest you do is I would suggest doing a table. Sometimes we know it gives them points. Sometimes students have to be able to look at a graph and do the points. But let's just say that I have a triangle at 0.24, and then see it's automatically plotting them for me. They're red, and they're red over here. So 2, 4, 3, 2, and then my last point is going to be at 1, 1. Now, here is something that's really interesting. If you wanted it to do this, right here, they're just points in isolation. If you go back and you close your point, if you put the first point as the last point, and they do have to be in clockwise or counterclockwise order, what you can do, super neat feature, is if you will hit your settings button up here, one, you can change the color of this right here. You can click right here. You can pick any color that you want to. You can make them circles. You can make them X's. However, this is a really neat thing. If you go back and you finish all your points, you can connect them with lines. So you can choose to do lines right there, which will make your shape. The only thing that you have to remind students to do is they have to put their first point as their last point. And then from here, the really neat thing that you can do is you can put in your sliders. So notice your table up here is X1, Y1. If you put in A, X1, and it automatically does the subscore, which is super easy, comma, and then it's always the same dilation for these guys. So A, Y1. And then right down here, if you'll hit this button for add slider, does this really cool thing. So right now, A is 1, right? Which means, and notice, these are green. Same thing here. If you click the settings button, I can change it. If I don't like green, if I want a different color to show up, you can do that. Same thing. You can connect it with a line. So which makes it really neat as an instructional tool for students to be able to see. So then right here, you can have this easy conversation. Look, A is 1, right? So it's 1. So everything that's X1 is still X1. And then when you slide this, students can see, look, it's getting bigger as they get bigger. And then down here, same concept. It's getting smaller as they get smaller. And then even you could get into the reflections here in a minute, but we know that's not what our kiddos have to do for our standards. So it's just this neat little slider where you really could do it all the way. And if you want to change your settings, like we don't ever want the dilation to be less than 0. So you could stop over here. You could do your dilation starting at 0. And then we could just do it from here. So I could make it as big as I want. I could do it down here. Same thing on this one. Another thing that I like to do is I like to label it, and I like to call it my new points. So then all of these you can see over here, it just tells me what my new is so that it keeps kids from being confused. Oh, which is my pre-image, which is my post-image, which is the new. And so right here, you could just do it. And then same thing, super easy. You've got the slider, scrolls on here, and then you can have the conversation of, well, look, if it's less than 1, it's getting smaller. If it's greater than 1, it's getting bigger. You can have this conversation with kids. Okay. Now, for the testing side of that, same thing. Students can't put in, I'm just going to make up some points real quick. 1, 2, hold on, let me go back to the home. Here's the other deal. If you ever want to go back to the 10 by 10 screen, super easy, hit the home button. It takes you back to the original home screen. So then I'm going to do 2, 3, 3, 1, and 1, 0. Sorry, 1, 0. Okay, doesn't matter. You can put in any points. Again, I'm doing a quadrilateral on this one. 1, 2, if you want to close it, you don't have to, but I just like to do that. We come up here, do our settings, and then over here, I want to add the lines. I want to be able to see the shape. Now, what students will be able to do and what you could do over here as well to show them, I just wanted to show you the slider here, but if they're up here, students can actually put in the value. So if I do 2x1, 2y1, it will actually show you right here what the shape does. So students can actually put in, again, we want to label it. We want to call it my new image. Settings, I like the lines. I think it makes it easier for kids to visualize. And then here you go. You have it right here. You can put these in here. So, oh, wait, 2 is not what I was looking for. So maybe it's really 1/2 x1 that they want me to do. And then students could see here, here's my new image. Did this get the dilation that I was looking for? Okay, Let's kind of deal with dilations. Translations, they really work the exact same way. You would just do two different sliders. So you can do x1 plus a, and then over here, I would do y1 plus b, because we know that we can either have a vertical, and then you want to add a slider for all of them. So it's just the same thing right here. You can have a concept. Kids can visually see, well, what happens if I'm changing the a? Well, the a goes with the x, so it slides on the x. It goes right for positive, left for negative values, and then the same thing down here. Once that's still, you can go up and down with it. You can have a discussion. What does it mean if it's at 0? Why would it be at the same image? Why would it be here? Why would it just move up and down? So you can have those really, really good conversations with kids that are just great. You can visually see it on a slider, which to me is just a great instructional tool. I think kids will have a visual representation of it. Same thing when you come over here to the test mode, you can put in what translation you're looking for. So if I want to, what if it tells me I need to go up 3 and then I want to go down 4? So I put it over here behind my deal. Oh, nope, this isn't what we want. See, and here's the deal. Kids make mistakes. If it's not there, just get them to look. That's the nice thing that I like about Desmos, is they can visually see if they put it in correctly. And so look, here's my deal. Oh, did that do what I wanted it to do? Yep, then that has to be my answer. A lot of times our kids get them switched, and so they can take their points and they can count. Oh, I went over. The only thing you have to be careful of here is don't let kids just count the squares, because we know that this is really half. So again, you can change all of your settings on that. You can change your graph settings. Let me move this out of the way. Y'all can probably see this, but I can't. You could move your graph settings where your X is at a step of 1. Okay, and then you can choose not to show your minor grid lines, which would leave them just at 1 and 1. Does that make sense? Same thing down here. You can change your, I need to be able to get these out of here. You can change your Y step to 1. Okay, and then it's just the graph. So they could actually count 1, 2. I went over 2. Down here, you can go that route. Okay, actually this point goes with this one. So 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3, 4. They would actually be able to count it. Okay, so that's how you could change your settings there. Okay, so again, same concept for transformations. You can put them in as a table, and then it has to be your X1, because this is all my X1 values. These are my Y1 values. Okay, and then really for reflections and rotations, it's the same concept. There's just no reason to do sliders, because it's not that. You can talk about what happens if I make negative X. What happens to that? Well, it's a rotation across they're just going to be able to visually see it. What if I do negative Y? That's this here. And then you can just talk about the deal. Well, what if you wanted to what if it's a rotation where you're moving these around? So Y1, negative X1. So kids can actually visually see what's happening, which I think is going to be so powerful for our students, because that's what's so hard for these kids. It's such a abstract concept to think about rotating, where our kids will be able to see what happens as you change these values, as opposed to just putting it in there and saying, oh, here's your rules. Here's all memorize these rules for rotations, negative X over Y. Students will be able to actually look at it and see, is that really doing what I want it to do? So you can really get into these deep conversations about, what does it look like to reflect across the Y-axis? What does it look like to reflect across the X-axis? How do you know whether it's a rotation or a reflection? And then also being able to visually have those concepts of congruence. When does it stay the same? Well, look, I'm just flipping this. It's the exact same area. I could rotate it back around over here. Same thing on the transformations. They'll be able to see that that keeps congruence where the dilations don't. They move back and forth. Okay. So really, those are the things that I wanted you to be able to see about doing the sliders for this, for the dilations and the translations, and then also just being able to see that students are still able to put in the X1, Y1, and to put in the actual values for the transformations and the dilations. So that's what I have. I told you I didn't want to take a ton of your time. I know that you guys are busy. I know it's Friday. And like I said, I just completely missed it. I thought I had another week, which I was going to make the videos. I know, Rhonda, you had asked me about the videos. Didn't have time to get all those done. So this was the second best that I could do. So any questions, Lauren, that you or Rhonda have for me are welcome to put it in the chat box. Or does this help? Does this help you see what you need to do? Okay. Perfect. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to record it. It is recording. And so I will share it with all your teachers because I know not everybody could be a part of it. So, all right. Y'all good? All right. Thank you. All right. Bye, Rhonda. Bye, Lauren.